Cortland Simmons with you here at the CS Racing Report with the Super Saturday and Sunday Pre-Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships report. And we're focusing on the feature race, the 100th running of the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Belmont Park. A mile and a quarter for 3-year-olds and up, $750,000, carrying 121 pounds for the 3-year-olds, 126 for the older horses in here, and it drew a field of 8. We're going to talk more about the storied history of the Gold Cup. This is the most important race that a horse can win, be it an older horse or a top-end 3-year-old. Of course, things have changed with the advent of the Breeders' Cup, and you saw a byproduct of that the previous week with the Pennsylvania Derby and this week's Oklahoma Derby, which drew a pretty strong field, or at least an interesting field, and it's taken away some of that confrontation and that clash, that championship clash between the 3-year-olds and the older horses. But in 2018, for this 100th running, unfortunately, we don't have the Triple Crown winner Justify or some of his supporting cast. But in saying that, that's not completely true. This year, the defending champion, Diversify, is coming back to try to defend his championship and propel himself into position to win the Breeders' Cup Classic in a few weeks at Churchill Downs, the home of the Kentucky Derby. And he will be running against a very interesting group of horses. There are 7 other horses in here, including the Dubai World Cup winner, Thunder Snow. We'll talk more about him as we go along in this preview of the Gold Cup. And let's go ahead and do that right now based on post positions. Number 1 is Carlino. Now his running line, he was 5th in the Brooklyn Handicap at a mile and a half earlier this summer on the Belmont undercard. His results this year have been mixed. 1st, 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th, and 1st. He won his last race, which was a 9-furlong allowance at Saratoga. So some who might want to wager $1 or 2 on him might be encouraged by the fact he can go a route of ground, but can he go 10 furlongs against upgraded companies such as this? So he's at 30-1 coming out of the 1 hole. Number 2 is Gronkowski. Gronkowski, named for the New England Patriots star tight end, was a buzz horse going into the Kentucky Derby, but he missed that race after qualifying as the number 1 point getter on the European road to Churchill Downs. Spiked a fever, couldn't run in the Derby, was then transferred from Jeremy Nocita to Chad Brown's barn, was trained up to the Belmont Stakes. He ran a very, very credible second to the Triple Crown winner Justify that day, then did not run in the aftermath of that for Chad Brown, and that inactivity cost him quite dearly in the Travers Stakes, where he ran 8th out of 10 horses, finishing just a little bit ahead of his stablemate Good Magic, who's now been retired, as we all know. And he comes in at 4-1. A lot of that has to do with the fact that he ran very well over the Belmont surface, and that the Travers was a race that he needed, and perhaps his fitness is going to be a little bit more up to speed in order to compete with these horses. He's 4-1 coming out of the number 2. Number 3 is the horse that I think could probably win this race, but again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. He was a buzz horse going into the Kentucky Derby, the son of Scat Daddy, a half-brother to the Triple Crown, the eventual Triple Crown winner Justify, that being Mendelssohn, trained by the incomparable Aidan O'Brien, the mild-mannered master of Ballydoyle. And he won the UAE Derby by 18 1/4 lengths. He was devastating in that race, regardless of whether it was a speed bias track or not. He then, of course, ran into a Derby disaster coming out of Dubai. Didn't get a hold of the track, finished dead last in the 20-horse Derby field. He then came back in the Dwyer Stakes, and that was another disaster. The Dwyer disaster ensued, ran on the lead, did not run well, was blown out by Firenze Fire. Come to find out, there was a bug going around the Aidan O'Brien barn, and that probably affected his performance. And for those who don't believe that, he certainly confirmed that there was something going on with him when he ran second to Catholic Boy in the Travers Stakes, finishing well ahead of a lot of horses that were on the Triple Crown trail, and had come to hand in the second half of this 2018. Very, very good performance. Some question whether the 1.25 miles is his optimum distance, but if he is moving forward and his fitness level is better than what it was at Saratoga, look out. He's at 7-2. He's probably going to be the second choice once these horses spring out of the gate at Belmont Park. He's got speed, and Diversify certainly does not want to encounter any opposing speed or certainly if he is legitimate, then Mendelssohn's going to be in a world of trouble if he tries to challenge the favorite in this race. But that's what Ryan Moore is going to employ tactically, is to use his speed. It'll be very interesting to see if it's a cat and mouse duel, or if we see a couple of horses go at it and duel each other into defeat like 20 years ago when Gentleman and Skipaway did, and 35-1 Wagon Limit came and picked up the pieces. Will we see a scenario like that unfold? It'll be very interesting to see. Mendelssohn comes out of the number 3 at 7-2 under Ryan Moore for trainer Aidan O'Brien. Number 4 is Patch. Patch is the one-eyed horse. He's the sentimental horse in the eyes of everyone. But to be quite honest with you, I'm going to be harsh about this. He's not a grade 1 horse, but again, then if he picks up the pieces on these speed horses I talked about, then everybody's going to say you shouldn't have talked so bad about him. But this year, his results, he was first, 7th, 3rd, and 5th. He did run 3rd in the Belmont Stakes in 2017, ran a very, very nice race, so people believe that he's capable of running a big race here. I think he's outside the realm of a grade 1 type of horse, but again, stranger things have happened. He's at 20-1 though, so I think because of the Todd Pletcher connection, the one eye, the whole sentiment, and the fact that he has had a couple of decent efforts. You know, he was 5th in his last race in the Woodward, was 3rd in the Alley Dar at Saratoga prior to that. I don't think he has a shot in here to really, really affect the outcome, but some people will use him underneath, believing that he can come from off the pace. Patches in the number 4 hole at 20-1. Number 5 is Uno Mas Modelo. He's at 30-1. He has had 3 wins between the 6 and 7 furlong route, including a 6.5 furlong win at Saratoga last time out. He's won there a couple times. He's also won at Churchill Downs, the home of the Kentucky Derby, and this year's Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championship. So if he could jump up and run a huge race in here, even if he were to hit the board, that might set him up for an opportunity to compete in one of those races in the 2-day Breeders' Cup event. Probably not likely to be a classic horse, but again, stranger things have happened. He's at 30-1. He's definitely a long shot in here. So we'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. The favorite is coming out of the number 6. That would be Diversify. He's 4-5. His odds may even be a little bit lower, depending on how people feel that his best competition will fare against him. We know he's a bit of the king of New York. He's 6-8 at Belmont Park. He has run very, very well. The question mark is, even if he is able to prevail today, how he will do when he takes his show on the road. He's 4-5. He's got a lot of speed. It'll be interesting to see if Mendelssohn goes out. Can he rate and accept the fact someone else wants the lead, or will he get caught in a suicidal speed duel, or will he be able, even on a cruise control, be able to keep up with his adversaries and or set the pace and dare anyone to come catch him? So that's going to be very, very interesting at 1.25 miles as the defending champion as to what he's going to do. Diversify is going to be your 4-5 favorite. He's going to show speed. Whether he's going to be challenged on the front end, that of course remains to be seen, and he will be at 4-5 or even shorter odds at post time. Number 7 is Discreet Lover. Now this is a horse, he was 12th in the Woodward in his last race. He has been sort of on the borderline, on the fringe of being an excellent graded stakes performer. His performances this year: 3rd, 1st, 6th, 4th, 4th, 3rd, and 12th. Those last, he was 4th in the Pimlico Special, 4th in the Met Mile, 3rd in the Suburban, 3rd in the Whitney, and then he, didn't show up for 12th in the Woodward. He gets the added distance, but does he really want it against these kind of horses? He's actually getting quite a generous overlay at 15-1. I think his odds will definitely increase once people really see the reality of all this. He has run well at Belmont Park. That's probably what's keeping him on the morning line at 15-1. But in reality, he's probably a 30-40 or 50-1 shot. But it is a field there isn't going to be more than likely a lot of traffic issues. So he could be, a player in here for Uriah St. Hall. He's at 15-1. And then the horse that probably is arguably the most interesting individual is the Dubai World Cup winner. That would be Thunder Snow. A year ago, like Mendelssohn, his Kentucky Derby was a disaster. He bucked and kicked and basically blew the house down, and Christophe Soleiman had to get off the horse and basically call it a day. And since that time, since that 2017 Kentucky Derby, he's run 2nd, 3rd, 1st, third, and then 15th in the QE2. That was his Waterloo right there. Bad performance. And then this year in 2018, he's been second, first, and then he ran an nondescript 8th in the Juddmonte International while trying to set the pace. That first place finish, of course, in his resume is the Maktoum Challenge, those 2 first places, and then the Dubai World Cup. Those are among his 2 wins, along with his 2 second place finishes in 2018. He comes in, he's proven on dirt, although people will try to dismiss him or knock his odds up or elevate his odds because it was a speed favoring track that he and both Mendelssohn competed on in March in Dubai. But there's no question that he has been proven on the dirt surface. Be interesting to see if he runs. He and Mendelssohn both run better at Belmont than Mendelssohn, say, ran in the Dwyer, and of course Thunder Snow did at York in the Juddmonte. He comes in at 6-1. A lot of people are giving him a shot to really do some damage in here. He too also has speed. It'll be interesting to see if we've got 3 horses going at it. Somebody's going to sit in the catbird seat while the number 1 and while the first 2 horses go at it, or if one of these horses can carve out some fractions, maybe slow it down and then finish. Certainly people believe Gronkowski has a chance to pick up the pieces in the stretch, as do some of these other horses. Right now, I'm looking at Mendelssohn in here. I think he's got a good chance. I'm very curious to see how Thunder Snow does. I'm trying to beat the favorite. I actually think, and I'm not a huge gambler, but I'm trying to beat the favorite in here. I think Thunder Snow, if he runs the way that he's capable, he could do very well. But again, Belmont Park is a surface. It's tiring, and it can be cuppy, and it can be demanding and surprise the out-of-towner. So it'll be very interesting. All these horses have had a chance to get over the track, and it'll be interesting to see how they perform in the afternoon. But I'm liking Mendelssohn in here a little bit over Diversify. But Diversify, there's no question. For those of you, as I aforementioned in previewing on podcast of the other graded races on the menu for these next 2 days, it would not be a bad play to stick with Diversify, to hold up to his favorite status, and then find who do you like underneath. Do you like Mendelssohn to hold on and finish second? Do you like Groonkowski to pick up the pieces and get a chunk of the check, a slice of it? Do you like Thunders? Do you like all the front-running horses to finish 1, 2, 3? Whether you're trying to box that exacta, play the trifecta, or hit the 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be the superfecta. So that's going to be obviously a very, very interesting dynamic in the way handicappers are going to look at this race, and it's going to be very intriguing to see actually who can win this 100th edition of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I'm picking Mendelssohn. It might be a sucker bet. Maybe he's not. The Travers was an overachieve. He overachieved at Saratoga, and he's not going to be able to tangle and be successful against these older horses. But I like him in here. I also like Thunder Snow to maybe make some noise. But again, Diversify is the favorite, and he is the horse to beat, and he may certainly prove to be, with his performance today, based on what Accelerate does or doesn't do, and the Awesome again, to be the betting choice for the Breeders' Cup Classic to be held at Churchill Downs, the home of the Kentucky Derby. Again, we will recap the Jockey Club Gold Cup along with the whole menu of Grade 1, Grade 2, and strong Grade 3 events on this Super Saturday and Sunday right here at the CS Racing Report.